I just want to start with The View because Joy Behar, who's like the progressive, I guess, on the panel, she claims that Antifa does not exist during a segment on Senator Ron Johnson's comments. I mean, I feel like she meant well, but we just talked about Senator Ron Johnson in the previous segment with Thomas Nelson, who's running for U.S. Senate in Wisconsin. Let's play this clip and assess.
Right out there with his racism. There's no dog whistle for him. You know, it's like, I'm a racist. Have a nice day. You know what I mean? I guess, you know, it's funny. When I was watching this, it's so aggravating to listen to this idiot. I mean, he and I are very different. I'll tell you this right now. If I was surrounded by people carrying weapons, people erecting nooses, screaming, hang Mike Pence, bludgeoning a police officer to death, I might be a little scared. But Ron, no, he's not scared of those people. He's scared of this fictitious idea of Antifa, a thing that doesn't even exist. He needs to go. He needs to go, and soon.
Right. Sonny, what I saw,
right out there with his racism.
I love this clip because I'm like, you're almost there. You're almost there. The organization doesn't exist. You kind of got it. You kind of got it. But anyways, I mean, listen, it's funny. And I'm glad that she's calling him out and people are calling him out to step down. And you know, I'd be curious to see if Meghan McCain was one to call him out. Maybe that'll bring the Republicans in and the not the McCains, the Mitt Romneys in to get him to step down. But I mean, Napoleon, man. Does Antifa have to issue a statement on their company letterhead to say, we are here? Don't you see us?
I mean, it's that's the world they want to live in. You know what I mean? Like they rather not acknowledge that side of things and push it to the side because it's just much more comfortable for their worldview and where they want to be. And so that they're going to keep not acknowledging the fact that, you know, that there are some of us on the left that, you know, are a little bit more radical than they may be.
That's an interesting point. Joshua, I mean, is this just an extension of like basically the blacklist of leftists who aren't allowed to go on cable news shows or appear in any sort of corporate media?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anyone in Antifa on corporate media anyway, but in fairness, what she first said is their idea of Antifa, and that doesn't exist. Like the GOP's concept of what Antifa is, that is totally a fiction, right? And so if we want to be charitable and say that she was saying that, I would agree with that. But I also think, you know, what y'all are saying is true, that I think the liberal discomfort with owning the full left and not constantly disavowing the parts that are inconvenience to their story, particularly of like their story of respectability, is a constant challenge, right? And it's not just a challenge on cable news media, but it's tricky even within movements of, who speaks for what movement in what way, and at what point, you know, where do you draw lines between, supporting the full spectrum of resistance, even when, you know, the news media tends to go towards spotlighting things that can be damaging. And I'm not talking about Antifa right now. I'm just talking about in general. And it's tricky, you know, and I think that's part of why we need to develop a politic of solidarity and actually becoming literate about what is going on in different parts of the left, especially Antifa, because they've become this, what's the phrase?
Boogeyman?
The boogeyman of the right. I was going to say, some kind of man, straw man, boogeyman, all the man.
The man. Who knew all along Antifa was the man?
Right. I mean, they are, I just want to say, like, having the specter of something where they can project all their fears onto is the way that the right operates, right? So whether they're doing that to Obama being a Muslim terrorist or whether they're doing it to Antifa, that's the ultimate game they're playing. And the liberals play into those hands by basically being like, oh yeah, we're not like them, and because they're not a threat, they're not even real. And so it actually shores up that tactic that the right has.
I mean, that's exactly what Obama did. And he wouldn't, in the beginning, he wouldn't even play game with Fox News, and they were like, cool, you're fine, we're just gonna and that he admits that's a mistake now. He should have had people on countering their opinions. When Fox News invited people from the administration, other Democrats on, they used to say no, and then they changed that because it was so out of hand that sometimes that does make a difference, and that's why we always say if a Democrat goes on Fox, don't agree with them, you have to challenge it, because believe it or not, some people do hear it. Anyways, I have to say, speaking of Fox News is of course going to be obsessed with the border crisis that's happening. It's not new. It didn't start with Trump. It started before, and it has not gone away. And since Biden has taken office, there's been a surge of migrants. They're moving people around from the detention centers, putting into different locations. It's a major crisis. Let's play this clip with the official who's overseeing the border coordinator on Biden's border policy.
With a message that we were going to enforce our laws, but also have a humane migration system. And I think what he means is that we are going to treat people fairly. We are going to reform our immigration system. And so while I understand what he was saying, I think that it's not the way we would put it. It is a more humane system, but it is not open borders, and it is not the fact we're going to enforce our law.
It's a more humane. The walls are painted a nice blue. They get a blanket. They get one meal a day rather than once every 3 days. It's just humane detention centers. Napoleon, I mean, you've been done a lot of work in Europe, and there's a migration crisis in Europe in which it's a humanitarian crisis. There have been fires that have broken out in these places, UN investigations. I mean, where does the buck stop? I mean, that's my question on this is are they just trying to figure out how to fix the problem that got so much worse under Trump, or is there really, are they really trying to navigate this gray zone?
It's probably a little bit of both. It seems like they're uneasy every time they have to talk about it. They rather not have to deal with it. And people keep bringing it up. And they're like, if we focus on the pandemic or other things and not talk about this, because it's really bad on their optics. And the problem with this whole situation is there's a lack of transparency. Like, honestly, that we don't really know what's going on. And I doubt that it's like peaches and cream over there.
Thanks for watching and listening to The Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.